Namaste and hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel Hamsavahini Vajra Astra. I'm Ahuna. In today's video, I'm quite excited to share my book review for Poseidon Steed, the story of seahorses from myth to reality, which has been written by Helen Scales, PhD. Now, Helen Scales, PhD is a marine biologist who has dedicated over 20 years of her research on seahorses, and in this book, she vividly describes the plight of seahorses from mythology through their biology, their biodiversity, which is localized in various parts of the global oceans, as well as their conditions currently, because they are depleting very fast, and the conservation programs which are associated with them. I really enjoyed reading this book, and I have tried to make a narrative style book review, so it's not like the other book reviews which I've made so far, and I hope you really enjoy it. So do please watch this video further. Poseidon Steed by Helen Scales, PhD. Poseidon Steed is a beautiful blend of mythology, biology, and ecology of seahorses. As we all know, the Greek god Poseidon was the god of the seas in Greek mythology, and his steed was the seahorse, represented by a horse with a fish's tail and special sea features like fins. In this book, Helen Scales, being a marine biologist, takes us on a wonderful journey through folklore and traditions from across the world, along with scientific information based on years and years of research on them. The book's prelude starts off with how Helen, at the age of 16, starts making her decision for her career ahead as an underwater sea diver, and 18 months later, as a fully qualified diver, she leaps into the tropical waters of the Sea of Belize and is enchanted by the aquatic marine life, especially the seahorse, which steers her entire focus towards exploring the magically mysterious deep-sea creature, and finally arrives at the decision of becoming a marine biologist. This book is divided into 6 major focal areas, the first being the mythology associated with seahorses and how they were initially discovered. One of the earliest discoveries of seahorses amongst the ancient times starts with the treasury of King Croesus of ancient Lydia, now the Uzak province in Turkey. King Croesus's wealth was legendary since the ancient times, the source of which were the gold-laden waters of the river Pactolus, on whose banks a gold refinery was recently uncovered, legend being that King Midas, whose very touch turned everything to gold, leapt into this very river to rid himself of his touch of gold. Amongst this treasure was found an intricate, ornate seahorse brooch with wings on the horse and a fish's tail, symbolic of the seahorse as imagined by the myths and legends of the ancients. Seahorse artifacts have been scattered from ancient times or buried all over the world, and one of the ancient relics of the seahorse can be found in the ancient cave paintings of the Australian Aboriginal tribe. The Australian Aboriginal tribes had an assortment of great nature spirits, the Rainbow Serpent being one of them. These nature spirits used to communicate with the elders of the tribe during dreamtime space, where they received messages from them directly. The Rainbow Serpent, according to the cave drawings of the elders, took the form of a female serpent stretching across the sky in the form of a rainbow. However, in a few cave paintings, the serpent itself seems to have distinctive features of a rigged body, tubular snouts, and angled heads turned towards their chest, and it looks closer to a seahorse with a pouch or a pregnant bulge. Seahorse myths expand from Greece to Roman Empire to Gaelic kingdoms, Caribbean myths, and myths from the ancient Atlantics, all of which have been briefly explored in this book. The second arena that this book explores is the biology of the seahorses. Seahorses are marine creatures and cannot tolerate fresh water and are found in specific areas where there are confluences in the nature of the marine environment, like coral reef beds, seagrass or seaweed, and roots of mangrove forests, which are usually found in the tropical shorelines. Seahorses are scientifically called the hippocampus, which is a Greek term. Now, hippo means horse and campus means monster. They belong to the Cygnathidae family, and they are best known relatives of what is called the pipefish. The tapering appendage is the most distinctive attribute of a seahorse, and unlike other fishes, seahorses use their tail to float upright. In the face of a strong underwater current, this tail is used to wrap around a coral reef head or a seaweed blade, and swaying with the drift of the current is what saves the seahorse from going with this drift altogether. The seahorse camouflage is well known, and these creatures are skillful masters of a game of hide and seek, should they be encroached upon by a predator, and they can blend in with their natural habitat in the blink of an eye. Out of the many physical features which sets the seahorse apart from other marine aquatic creatures is the horse-like head with cheeks puffed out, unusual eyes which function like a chameleon's eyes, and surprisingly, the seahorse is the only fish that has a neck. The seahorse can move both its eyes independent of each other, facilitating it against potential predators and floating specks of food nearby. The most amazingly distinctive feature of the seahorse is that the males have a protruding pouch, which is also called a marsupial pouch, where the female seahorses deposit their eggs. The male seahorse conceives the babies inside these marsupial pouches and ejects them from his pouch once they are ready, thereby giving birth to many tiny, translucent, silvery tadpole-like hatchlings who are now ready to survive on their own. Helen Scales in this book explores the other fascinating biological and habitat features of the seahorse before focusing on the diverse regions of the vast oceanic beds where they are usually found and the species localized in every region. The next focal area of this book is about the vanishing and vastly depleting concerns of various seahorse species, and this is because of the curative properties of the seahorse. Now, the seahorse are endowed with naturally abundant curative properties, which makes them an important ingredient in traditional medicines of Southeast Asia and Asian countries in general. The first mention of this is found in the compendium of natural herbs called Ben Chao Gang Mu, written during the Ming Dynasty in the 16th century. Haima, as the seahorses were called, used to strengthen the yang and was used as a supplement for kidney, toxic swellings, malfunctioning of the kidneys, and malfunctioning of the blood, and vital energy replenishing. Traditionally, the first ever book of Chinese medicine was called Shen Nong Ben Chao Jing, or Shen Nong's Herbal Classic. Shen Nong was a Chinese emperor who used himself as a guinea pig to explore his obsession with curative powers hidden in nature, such as roots, plants, fungi, etc. Also known as the divine farmer or emperor of the five grain, Shen Nong is celebrated as a great hero. The herbal classic Shen Nong Ben Chao Jin was compiled by the Han Dynasty in the 1st century BC, and it featured around 365 plants, animals, fungi, minerals, etc., and the animal parts were not used for treating any kind of ailment back then. During the Ming Dynasty, which was in the 16th century BC, an additional volume was added which had remedies from using different animal parts for quick relief, and the seahorse haima was one of the most prized ingredients used to counteract the yang imbalances in the body. Seahorses are dried, roasted, and crushed into a fine powder to be used in tea or steeped in rice wine, or used as powder or tablets to treat infections, ulcers, reduce cholesterol, speed the healing of open wounds, and used for conception by men or hung by a cord worn around the neck as a good luck charm by women. Helen Scales takes us further into the vast market of seahorses used for different purposes, including culinary, healing, charms, displays, etc. further in this book. Another focal area of this book is the widespread seahorse trade, which is responsible for the sudden depletion of the seahorse population worldwide, leaving some of their species endangered. Traditional remedies and expensive culinary tastes have forced shrimp trawlers and poor fishermen and their families to make a livelihood by plucking out seahorses from the seafloor frequently. Seahorses were the focal point of a few small-scale fisheries, and during the 1980s, children used to deep dive to catch seahorses for Chinese trades and tourists. The best-known fisheries dedicated to seahorses is at Hadamon village in the Philippines, and the Danajon Bank is where seahorses are found due to a rich mix of habitat underwater, and seahorse trade became an important part of the Hadamon economy. Lantern fishers in 1993 reported to an international team of marine biologists about the depleting habitat conditions of the coral reefs near the village of Hadamon, and hence the world's first dedicated seahorse conservation project, known as Project Seahorse, was put into action as today and is a huge success. Other initiatives have also been taken over the past decades globally, and Helen Scales goes into great depth to explain the current situation and different kinds of seahorse fishermen and how they devise their conservation plans. Another focal point in terms of conservation of endangered species is brought about by the seahorses kept in glass aquariums. Here, the history of aquariums, both freshwater and marine aquariums, are very well explained, and the natural habitat for seahorses in these aquariums and observations inclusive of seahorse farms are mentioned in detail in this book. Overall, this book inspires the reader about the beautiful species of seahorses and also brings awareness of their current depleting conditions all across the globe, and especially why the seahorses matter in our natural marine. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Those are a few of my thoughts on this book, and the main content, of course, has not been revealed because these are just a few things which I have highlighted. This book is absolutely comprehensive, and there are lots of details which are mentioned in this book. So I would highly recommend this book for anyone who's interested in knowing more about Poseidon Steed. It is almost a light read, but then the information in it is absolutely packed and you would really enjoy it. So those are my thoughts on Poseidon's Steed, and do let me know in the comment section below if you really enjoyed this video and how you liked the narrative style of the book review which I just made. And with that, I will be wrapping up, and I will meet you soon next week with another video. Until then, take care, have a good reading week ahead, and namaste.